Welcome to the Speak Black Woman podcast. I am so excited because if you know anything about this podcast, it is for Black women in business who are also passionate about making a profit from public speaking. So we are all about making our voices visible in our business and in our careers. And you know, I look high and low, near and far to find the most amazing Black women who I know who are really doing their thing in business and of course on the public speaking platform. And today I'm telling you, we got one of my favorite people that we're going to have a conversation with. I know that some of you have always kind of complimented me on my banner and you complimented me on just the way I show up using StreamYard. I wish I could take all the credit, but I cannot, right? There is a woman behind that movement, and you're going to get to meet her in just a second. But for those of you who are brand new to the podcast, welcome. My name is Quinn, and I'm going to serve as your host. And for those of you who've been listening and learning and rocking and rolling with me for a couple of months or a year, because we started last year officially, I want to say welcome back. But I don't think it's just important for me to tell you what I do. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I do, and then we're going to go ahead and bring on our very special guest. Stay tuned after this quick video. Now that you know a little bit more about the Speak Black Woman movement, and if you liked a little bit of that, make sure you go on over to speakblackwoman.com so you can learn about everything we're doing right here on the podcast, as well as events, and of course, the Speak Black Woman book, because this is more than just a movement. This is a mission, and this is a movement for Black women in business who are also passionate about making a profit from public speaking. So now to our main attraction, right? Like there are certain people that I get really excited about, but then there are people that I get like on a whole nother level. Like I fan out a little bit, like, yes, sign me up, unofficial president of their fan club if they don't know it. And this is how I feel about this very next person. So I'm not going to make you stay in the dark any longer. I'm going to go ahead and bring up our very special guest to the Speak Black Woman podcast, Miss Sharvette Mitchell. Sharvette, how you doing? How you feeling right now?
I am wonderful, Quinn. Thank you for having me. What an awesome introduction. I really appreciate being here with you and your audience.
Thank you. I'm glad that you are here. And I was telling Sharvette, y'all, before we started this podcast, because, you know, we family, that I love her teal and purple kind of color combo. And I'm all about color combination. So if you see me in teal and purple, Sharvette was my inspiration. And I know I just kind of loved up on her for a little bit, but some of you might not know her. So I'm going to give her, you know, an introduction. We're going to have a great conversation about how she's using her voice in her business. So Sharvette Mitchell is a graduate of Virginia Commonwealth University, and she has a bachelor's degree in marketing. She brings to the table not 10, not 15, but 25 years of past experience in corporate America in the field of training, development, and consumer compliance. Sharvette is often referred to as the platform builder, and she provides consulting services for entrepreneurs just like you so they can generate more revenue with an amazing personal brand. In addition to that, Sharvette is a speaker and a trainer, and she is all about making sure that you show up with pizzazz and vibrancy using her online marketing strategies. Social media marketing, personal branding, and digital creation of products and services is her thing. And more importantly, we have her on the Speak Black Woman podcast. So I'm excited. So you come from 25 years of corporate America, and I'm sure that you learned a lot over those years, and you have a lot of transferable skills. What made you decide to go into the areas of like social media marketing and personal branding and just being a platform builder? Why that avenue?
Yeah, so I fell into web design services many moons ago, about 13 years ago. And that was really the foundation of the company originally. I've since transitioned out of that. But what I found as I worked with small businesses, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, once we had the site done, the next question was, well, now what? Like, what else am I supposed to be doing? And I was an early adopter to social media. I don't, if any of your listeners are brave enough to say they had a MySpace page, back then, like, right, we're raising our hands. I was an early adopter. And so one of the natural progressions and transitions was to say, okay, let's jump into social media and talk about how do you get some eyes on the business that you're building. And so that's where it really kind of spun off. And then it just expanded, because social media is one component, like within your content marketing, but then there are other elements that play into it. And that's when we start talking about more of your bigger personal brand and your platform.
No, that's really good insight. And you're right. It's like people think that if you have this one piece done, then everything is going to take care of itself, not understanding that running a successful business is like a car. It involves multiple parts. Like you just can't have a steering wheel and be like, all right, I'm good. Like, no, you need seats, you need tires, you need an engine, you need turn signals, you need a whole bunch of stuff to kind of make this engine go. No, I think that's really good insight. Now, you do, of course, the personal branding, the social media marketing, but you also host events as well. Why do you think it's important to use your voice in even like the events form or even like social media? Because you can definitely be a person that puts stuff and post stuff and people don't have to hear you or see your video. Why is it important now building a personal brand or using social media for us to talk, for us to do video?
Yeah, it is imperative. It's imperative because people like to do business with those that they feel like they know, they feel like they trust. And the only way for them to establish that rapport is to hear you, is to hear your voice. And in particular, if you are any type of expert, leader, consultant, you could be an accountant, a real estate agent, where people are actually working with you intimately, then they want to have some level of comfort in either starting to work with you, or even if they have already been working with you, they want to feel like they're working with an expert. And that comes across most effectively when you use your voice and when you talk. And so my events are a natural progression of me building this online community, being online and all of that. And the community kind of saying, hey, we want to meet. And so as leaders, we ought to look for opportunities where we can bring our communities together. And then in addition to that, because we have a lot of speakers I know that are listening, it helps you to create speaking opportunities for yourself and for others.
Which is one of my favorite things. I mean, you can definitely speak on other people's stages, but I'm a firm believer of creating your own stage as well. Don't wish, hope, or pray that somebody extends you an invitation to speak. And it's interesting because the more stages you create for yourself, the more invitations you get on other people's stages. But people don't think that. Like, they don't think that. There's something about you that I like really enjoy is how you just show up. I feel like you're like a vibrancy twin with me. Like, I mean, your website, your colors, it's always very colorful. It's lively. It's vibrant. And to me, that just shows me your confidence. It shows me your courage. It shows me that you are okay with being vocal. Was there ever a time where you felt voiceless, or ever a time where it's like, oh, this pink is too much, this blue, this purple, let me tone it down? Did you ever feel like a time, because people see that where we are now, right? They don't understand the evolution. So was there ever a time that Sharvette maybe wasn't so vibrant, maybe wasn't so confident and wearing certain colors and being bold and loud and all that yummy stuff that you are now?
Thank you for that. I am people that meet me, or you can look at some of my pictures. I am a big presence. I am a plus size sister. I am tall. And so I didn't even have a choice. Like, if I walk into a room, I'm going to be noticed. You might not remember my name, but you will remember that you met me, just because I have a really naturally big presence. And then also my personality matched with that. So I wouldn't say that there was a time where I felt like don't be bold and bright, but I do have moments, and this is a transparent moment. I have no problem speaking, but my body will say, oh, you need to sweat a little bit. And I'm like, no, body, I'm not nervous. No, you need to sweat. And so I've talked about this on Clubhouse, I think in one of your Clubhouses before, where there is a nervous energy that comes about. And I would say in those moments, that is where I might have some hesitation. And then I just have to calm myself and say, you belong in every room that you go in. And if you have to dab or pat a little bit of sweat, your eyelashes are still going to be fine. And the main thing is that you're going to give value to your audience. So I would say some of those moments, kind of behind the scene moments that different people see, those of us that are out there and feel like, oh, they do this fearlessly. No, we just push through. And so I've just pushed through.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's like, no, I didn't wake up like this. I worked for this. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm still scared sometimes. I get those butterflies, but I just make them fall in formation and I push through. So thank you for your transparency and thank you for like sharing that because people they don't always think that there has been a challenge or an issue or, just anything. Like we're just good. And you owned it. Like, listen, I tell people I'm only 5 foot tall. But when I open up my mouth, I become a 5 foot giant. And I'm like, and if you're over 6 foot, put some heels on and stand taller. And most people are like, huh? You're like, they're either trying to go down or go small. Like, it's like, we're never comfortable, kind of, where we are. One of the things that you mentioned that you were an early adapter, like I raised my hand on a MySpace, right? Like we all had a MySpace that literally if somebody pulled it up, I probably would cringe because I don't even know what would say on it. But I feel like you've been an early adapter to a lot of different things. You mentioned Clubhouse. Some people are like still on the fence about Clubhouse. There's some other social media tools. I mean, even I feel like, with your involvement with like using apps like StreamYard or programs, I feel like you've always been an early adapter for an entrepreneur, especially a Black woman or a speaker. How important is it to kind of like get in and jump in on some of this stuff? Like, I'm not saying that you right? But how do you decipher as a Black woman who speaks, which platforms can you use to really leverage your speaking career?
Yeah, I just jump in. So what happens a lot of times is people will overanalyze, they get into perfectionism, they try to figure out what's the best tool. I'm going to do all of this analysis. And at the end of the day, analysis paralysis, we've heard that before, you end up doing nothing because either you're overwhelmed by all of the options out there, or you are really using that as a defense mechanism to procrastinate. And so I heard a gentleman, John Henry, say that entrepreneurs make 3 mistakes before the average person makes one decision. Let me say that again. An entrepreneur makes 3 mistakes before an average person makes one decision. And so that is my thought process of just jump in because the process is the teacher. I tell my clients that are my platform builder clients, I'm your guided, trusted guide. I'm your advisor. I help you think how to do strategy, but the process itself is it. I had a customer who I've worked with over a year and a half now, and she did an event. And we've talked about events and all of that and that coaching. It wasn't until she did the event. And then she was like, I learned so much. Why? Because the process is the teacher. And so that's why you have to have that mindset as a speaker. And guess what? If a tool doesn't work, if an app doesn't work, you can cancel the subscription. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
So just jump in.
No, that's good to know. And I love what you said about the process being the teacher, because sometimes we want Google University or YouTube University or Clubhouse University to get all the nuggets. But sometimes it's only going to come from you jumping in the water and learning how to swim, or you hiring a freaking lifeguard to teach you how to swim. Like, it's going to happen one or the other. You're going to be piecing it, over and over again, which is never a good thing. But I love that the process is the teacher, because there's so many things. My pastor always says some things are taught and then some things are caught, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and everything you ain't gonna get from a book. It's going to be from you living this thing called entrepreneurship out in real life. So you heard that before as well?
Yes. And I just want to piggyback on that analogy you just gave about swimming. I mean, you could have a private coach, you could be taking a group class, you could go on YouTube to figure out how to swim, but what's the common denominator? You have to get in the water. Like, at the end of the day, you still got to get in the water. And that's it. So,
no, you're so right. You're so right about that, because I mean, you out here mad that everybody's doing laps around you, but you on the sideline with the swim cap on. Then you got the goggles. Then you got the flippers. Then you got the girl. If you don't get in that water already,
looking like you swimming. I know you see that, Quinn, in these internet streets and suites with speakers, and they have all the things, but then there is no action. They're all dressed up. They got all of the stuff, but then there's no proof of that you deliver any value, and you got to do it.
Yeah, I call that, it's like we're education rich, but we're execution poor.
Absolutely.
So, that's so good. Workshops, we'll go to seminars, we'll do all of that. And then you're looking at, let's say, me or you, like, oh my gosh, how they, because I'm implementing, not only do I invest in myself, I firmly believe in that, but I am an implementer. Even if it's just one thing that I have to do, I don't get overwhelmed. I'm not walking around with ideas in my head and ideas in my notebook. Like, I need to execute one thing, like, and start that process, and what you see is momentum. You see momentum of a decision after a decision after a decision, which again, some people might be brand new to me or brand new to you, but I got 16 years experience doing this. So I said, don't judge my baby face. I got 16 years in the speaking street. Like I didn't just wake up and put out a post. I post consistently every day, like there's certain things and tools in place. So I absolutely, 100%, believe in there. People, you said it, they get all dressed up. So it's almost like, I'm an analogy person, Sharvette. I don't know if you realize this.
I love it.
Analogy person. It's like, I'm getting dressed, because you're like, I'm getting dressed, I'm putting my dress on, I'm getting the hair done, but I don't go to the party.
Don't go to the party. I
just sit there and be like, dang, I wonder what would happen if I went to the party. You over here analyzing the party versus just going, and it could be the best time of your life.
You're scrolling on Facebook, looking at everybody else at the party and their reels and and some people are good with just being dressed up, but I'm not. And I'm assigned to people. I'm a leader that is assigned to other leaders who take some action. I take something. You don't have to do everything, but take some action.
You just said I'm assigned. And when you said I'm assigned, it's like my anointing, right? Because there's certain words that you hear. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up, because I think that there's some people in our spaces, because I believe that I speak and I serve, right? This is a part of my assignment. This is a part of me being obedient. It's a part of my calling, purpose, all of that, and I feel like the people who do very well, they are on assignment. And the people who are good for a little bit, they have an agenda. You see them fizzle out, right? You see else, it's like, oh no, I didn't get X, Y, and Z, so it fizzles out. But the people who are on assignment, there's a different drive, there's a different motivation. It's a higher. Do you see that sometimes? Or now, I know I say assignment and an agenda, but now that I put it in that context, have you seen people who you can tell like they're definitely on an assignment and they're definitely, they have an agenda? I can just feel.
Yes. Ulterior motives. Absolutely. And I am big about consistency. I am huge about consistency, and being in these internet streets, 13 years, you've seen people come and go, and you see brands and you're like, whatever happened to so-and-so? They were going full steam, and then they disappear, or they drop out, or they come back, and they have these episodes where they're gone for 2 years and they come back. Those are agendas. People that have been consistent. Consistency is going to win every single time. There are people out here delivering great messages, speaking, and all of that. And you might sit back and say, well, I actually speak better than them. I do better than them. But guess what? They're probably consistent. Consistent is going to win every single time. Our keynote speaker that we'll be announcing soon, I should be having final confirmation of what day she's speaking in a few days, but she's been to the conference before. She's been at least 2 other times. And so someone might say, well, why would you have a speaker that's been to your conference, spoken 2 out of the now the 6 times? Because I like that we can see her track record. We can see that she's been in the game. We can see that she's on assignment, and you can look at the track record. There's so much in these internet streets where people pop up on Clubhouse and they're a relationship coach. And I'm like, I know you in real life, and all of your marriages have been raggedy. And you got kids up and down the East Coast. Sorry, I'm back.
Yes. No.
You're on Clubhouse as a relationship expert. So I love when you have to have consistency, because people are fact checking, and they're not just fact checking politicians. They're fact checking us.
Listen, I call that the digital background check, right? We can show up any way we want, but if somebody goes to Google, or they go to QuinnConyers.com or SharvetteMitchell.com, what are they going to find? So if you're talking about, like you said, I'm a relationship expert, or I work with people in X, Y, and Z, people want to see receipts. They want to see that you're doing this. They want to see that you have a track record, and you're absolutely right. And I think that, to be honest with you, that exposed a lot of people with Clubhouse. Like, I'm watching your videos, I'm seeing your images, but then when you hear you talk, I was like, oh, you really don't know your stuff. Like, this is like, you got a real good social media manager. Like, down to that. So it's like, now more than ever, authenticity, is really winning, and vulnerability is winning. People just don't want to know when you are at the top. They really want to know when you're at the bottom. They want to know that process. They want to learn that murky middle when you was like, I don't know, I quit. I done quit so many times. I don't know, I'm over it, right? I'm out here cussing on a Sunday, knowing I'm wrong. a mess. Like, I don't want to do any of this. So you are right. You are so right on so many different ways. So, if you guys are just joining us, I'm having an awesome and amazing conversation with Sharvette Mitchell. And we're just having a conversation about her, what she got going on, her brand, and what she can do for people like you. And again, I want to thank you for listening in and tuning in, whether you are watching this on YouTube or you are literally listening at your leisure. The Speak Black Woman book is here. If you haven't already pre-ordered it, or you can actually buy it directly from me at speakblackwoman.com. Or if you need it in 2 days or less, it is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Target, and we're still working on getting it at Walmart. But Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, and Target, you can get it. But if you want my signature, my autograph on the book, you can get it from speakblackwoman.com. It is an amazing book. It's called Speak Black Woman: How Women in Business Can Profit from Public Speaking, because I believe that speaking is not a destination, but is a strategy that you can use to boost your business. Now, Miss Sharvette, you have not only used your voice in your business and your brand, you've also put your voice in not one, but 2 books that you have co-authored. Can you talk about the importance of making your voice visible in the written form? Is that right now when it comes to having a personal brand? Because everybody has their 2 cents in a nickel in regards to being an author, right? But how do you feel like being an author, putting your words, your voice onto paper has benefited your business?
Yeah, it's the credibility factor. It is, again, like we said, people check you out, right? And that digital footprint. So if you have a book, they can read what you have to say. It gives you an opportunity. It really backs up. It does 2 things for speaking. It can be on the front end or on the back end. So on the front end, it can get you speaking opportunities. If your topic is something that somebody's researching or what have you, and it would be a good fit for their event, then it can actually get you speaking opportunities. I've seen speaking proposals where they wanted you to indicate whether you were an author or not. And then it's different, they wanted to know that. On the back end, when you go to speak, it gives you a product to sell. It gives you something to sell, or another way for the audience to continue to learn about you and to learn about your framework or your thought process. But it really is important to document, have your intellectual property documented. I think that's the key thing, or your story. One of my clients who speaks, and she has shared her story in her mind, a lot of times. So when it came to writing the chapter in our current book that's coming up called Pursue, the editor wanted her to pull more of her story out. And as we were chatting, she said, well, I kind of feel like I talk about it all the time. I said, but is your story documented on paper? And then she got it. So, it's a great combination because she speaks about it, but she just felt like, oh, I'm talking about it all the time. People already know, but you want to have it documented on paper because the books last forever.
Forever. No, it's legacy. No, that's good stuff. I like that. And the thing about it is we tell our story, we know it, but every audience, it's their first time hearing it, right?
Yeah.
Fresh to them, it might be stale to us. So it's never stale to us, but that's a good perspective to kind of to give to her. And I hopefully, I think that light bulb moment happened for her.
Yeah.
So good stuff. So listen, y'all, we are having a great conversation with Sharvette Mitchell. And in addition to really being an advocate, an online marketing strategist, a social media marketing just extraordinaire, and just a personal branding, expert, she has been featured in publications such as the Huffington Post, Hope for Women magazine, CEO magazine, Glambitious magazine, Rescue a CEO blog, and Sister Sense magazine. Now, by getting all those media credentials, has that opened up doors for more speaking engagements for you?
I would say absolutely, and prepared me for speaking engagements. And so oftentimes, people just want to speak, but do you have something to say? And are you ready to speak? And so I would say that those, the Huffington Post, when people interview you, you have to craft the story, craft the article. And so they have definitely helped, I would say, prepare for speaking. And then it sounds good. It's, we got a name drop sometimes. So it does sound good when people are able to present you to their audience and that another media outlet has featured you, which puts their brand on top of your brand. So yes.
Yeah, and absolutely. It's interesting because sometimes when I, do these interviews and I'm like, doing my research or getting bios, or sometimes people send me stuff, but I do a little bit more research myself. And, I had one person say, oh, you don't have to read all that. I'm like, yes, I do. I want to make sure that people know who you are. And a lot of times I feel like, we're very comfortable and confident using our voice, but some people are really still shrinking. They're still settling and not necessarily owning their voice. And that's why I love, doing the Speak Black Women podcast, because I feel like if I can show up boldly, if you can show up boldly, you give permission for other women to speak up and show up boldly as well. So I think that is always very important. So I hate that we're coming to an end. This time goes so fast.
It just flew by.
I want to honor your time, and I know I want to honor my listeners' time. And I know that you have an awesome and amazing event coming up in November of 2021 of this year. Can you go ahead and tell us about that? And if people are interested in, getting some more of what you have to offer, how they can either learn about the event or even register to attend.
Yes. So my signature annual conference is coming up. This is our 6th annual conference. Yes, we had one in the pandemic last year. So our 6th annual conference is called the Pop-Up Conference. Pop-Up Conference for Women in Business. And it's for women that are in business, entrepreneurs, or emerging. You're going in that direction and you want to rub shoulders with, other women that have that same mindset. And so it's November 4th, 5th, and 6th. November 4th is for VIP, which is sold out, but we've got seats for you November 5th and 6th, which is the main conference in Richmond, Virginia at the 4 Points by Sheraton Hotel. And we have main stage speakers. We have breakout speakers. We have women that are going to be talking about all different types of topics to help build your brand and also how you can make some more money. And so you can jump over to Hey Girl Hey. That's my community language and how we greet each other. HeyGirlHey.biz. HeyGirlHey.biz, or if you go to SharvetteMitchell.com, you'll be able to get directed right there, or you can Google Sharvette and you will find it. And it's one of the things that has just grown over the years, and it's an amazing experience. We have over 20 speakers. We got to get the flyer done. It's going to be a tight flyer, but I love being able to give the opportunity to bring different people in. And we invite you to the Pop-Up Conference in Richmond, Virginia. Listen, y'all ain't been nowhere. Y'all been in the house. Get you, plane ticket, bike ride, train, wherever you are, and meet us, Richmond, Virginia. HeyGirlHey.biz.
Let me tell y'all something. I already told Sharvette this. I'm going to be real honest with y'all. It was not my husband's 40th. I will be in Richmond, Virginia with her because she's great people. She has an impeccable energy and she's on assignment, which I love. So, and then Hey Girl Hey, like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, doing my dance and singing my song, I would so be there. So, next year, Sharvette, please keep in mind. Like, I'm like, listen, I sacrificed for this, but yeah, I love it. And one more time, if somebody is interested in learning more about you or learning about your conference or any type of services that you provide, where can they go?
SharvetteMitchell.com, which is simply my name, will get you right there. You can hear about the conference, my services, my show, my books, all of the things are right there. My programs, SharvetteMitchell.com.
I love it. Okay, Sharvette, hang out for just a second. I'm going to close it out and I'll be right back to you. All right. Listen, y'all, was that yummy? Like, I know it was. Like, if you found this podcast episode amazing, go ahead and leave a comment either on YouTube or leave a comment or write a review under the podcast. And if you definitely love this, make sure you tune in because every Wednesday at 4:00 Eastern Standard Time is when I drop a brand new episode of the Speak Black Women podcast. Again, I think it is so awesome and amazing that people like Sharvette give me some of her time and her attention, but most importantly, give you a couple of nuggets on how you can grow your business by using your voice. So I personally want to thank all of you for joining me for another episode of the Speak Black Women podcast. Again, make sure you stay connected with me. I am Quinn Conyers on all social media platforms, but more importantly, go to speakblackwoman.com. You'll see past episodes of the podcast. You can learn more about my book and also learn more about some of the events that I have coming up. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you go to Hey Girl Hey and make sure you go to SharvetteMitchell.com and learn more about our fabulous guest because she has a lot of amazing things that you need to be a part of. So as always, thank you so much for tuning into the Speak Black Women podcast. I appreciate you. And remember that your voice is your secret superpower in business. I'll see you next time.